Hey, Astro Kids, and welcome back. And this is your horoscope for the full moon in Pisces coming up on September 20th. And this is a huge full moon, so let's go ahead and jump right into this. So, I hope you're all doing well. And before we get into this full moon, I just want to give you all a quick disclaimer that this channel is very specific to Vedic astrology when it comes to the horoscopes and the content that we are talking about here. So if you are new to Vedic astrology, you're not sure what your Vedic astrological profile looks like, then you want to make sure you check out that calculator to see what your placements are in the sidereal zodiac. Vedic astrology is always going to be using this sidereal zodiac to interpret what is going on in your chart. And the most important points that you're going to want to see in your Vedic astrology chart for this video are going to be your ascendant and your moon sign. In Vedic astrology, we always look at the horoscope from the moon sign or the ascendant. It is not from your sun sign. So it doesn't matter what day of the year that you're born on. You want to understand what was the moon when you were born and what was the ascendant according to that sidereal zodiac. That is going to give you the most accurate interpretation of this horoscope today. So even though this is a Pisces full moon in both Vedic astrology and tropical astrology, that is coming up here on the 20th, you want to make sure that you are actually reading this from your Vedic astrology chart. So with that all being said, I also wanted to get into something else first before we get into this full moon. And that was the new moon that started this entire phase that has brought us all the way to this full moon. This is a complete cycle that started with that initial phase of the new moon. And I did not do a video on that new moon, but if you follow me on social media and you're looking at my post, then you know that I talked all about how that new moon had a lot of creative energy behind it. The power to create something new was very strong at that new moon that started this entire cycle. And so that new moon took place in the nakshatra of Purva Phalguni. And Purva Phalguni is a nakshatra that falls under the sidereal sign of Leo. So once again, this is all going to be according to this Vedic astrological interpretation where we're looking at the sidereal zodiac. And we're looking at these nakshatras or lunar mansions, which are these constellations that fit inside of our traditional zodiac constellation that we are familiar with. So we have those large 12 zodiac constellations that are 30 degrees long, but we're able to break it up even more by seeing the actual stars that sit behind it. And so this nakshatra of Purva Phalguni that we saw in the beginning of September was known as the hanging fruit of the tree. And this is all about the pleasure, the beauty. This was the first nakshatra that we saw that had this combination of Venus and the sun. So we saw the Venus energy that was born in the nakshatra of Bharani there in the sign of Aries. But this is our second Venus-controlled nakshatra, where now this energy is meeting up with the sun. And just like Venus is a very creative energy, so is the sun. And so this was especially a height of that creative energy there in Purva Phalguni. Even more than that, it was a new moon that was falling under a Libra Navamsa. Libra especially is connected to the arts, to beauty, to architecture, to design. And so those creative energies were very strong there, along with the association with Venus that we saw going into this new moon as well. So with all of that being said, we started this entire cycle with this creative energy, this ability to start something new, to design, to create something. And it has brought us to this full moon here in Pisces. Why did I bring up this new moon? Because the full moon that is coming up here on September 20th is a culmination of what you created at the start of that new moon, at the start of this entire lunar cycle. What seeds were you planting? What was it that you wanted to manifest, that you wanted to create, to bring into existence? That is a huge theme that is highlighting this full moon that is coming up here on September 20th. Now, up on the screen, you can see what this full moon looks like as far as the chart. And this is going to be a Vedic astrology chart. So if you are new to this chart, it is still going to be similar, but you're going to see where the moon and the sun set opposite to one another is where we see this full moon happening. And this is happening at 4 degrees, 4 minutes. And so there is something very magical even about the degree that this is falling under. This is going to be a very magical full moon that we are stepping into here. This number 4 is bringing a lot up as far as security, stability. What is the life that we want to experience? What is it that we want to create? What is it that we want in our lives? That is a huge theme that is coming up here during this full moon. Is what is the life that you want? What is it that you want to create? What is it that you want to experience? And when we put these 2-4 energies together, it even comes to 8 about this power of manifestation, of success, of moving towards your goals. And this is a very strong Saturn energy that's attached to that number 8. Now, what's interesting here is that this full moon will take place in a nakshatra that is known as Uttara Bhadrapada, which is also a nakshatra that is controlled by Saturn. So once again, we get these heavy Saturn themes that are coming in here as far as what is actually realistic? What can you build? What can you create? What is stable? How can you put these goals and these dreams that you have and actually turn it into something that is stable, something that can exist in your physical reality? This is going to be a huge theme as we are stepping into this full moon. Now, let's talk a little bit about this nakshatra of Uttara Bhadrapada. This is going to tell us a lot about what is happening during this full moon. And yes, this is going to be in the sign of Pisces, no matter what zodiac you are using. This is going to fall here in that tropical zodiac and within that sidereal zodiac that we use here with Vedic astrology. And one of the biggest reasons why that is because this is falling at a portion where this is very dreamy, right? When we talk about Uttara Bhadrapada, this is a point where we have left the physical and have stepped into this state of this spiritual growth, of actually transcending and moving away from the material attachments and the material bindings, the illusion, the greed, the suffering, all of these lower energies that keep us entrapped into the illusion, which is something big that we talk a lot about here in Vedic astrology. When we refer to the nodes, the lunar nodes of Rahu and Ketu, that north node and south node have a lot to do with karmic lessons that are attached to the illusion of our material desires, of our obsessions, of the things that we are attached to here in this material world. And so this Nakshatra of Uttara Bhadrapada is closely connected to detaching from those material desires and transcending, rising up spiritually to this higher frequency. And this is a theme that we see in both of the Bhadrapadas, because this is actually a part of a pair, right? The first nakshatra is Purva Bhadrapada, which translates to the farmer lucky feet. And this nakshatra of Uttara Bhadrapada is the latter lucky feet. So this is a pair that works together. And in astrology, the first part of any pair, when we're talking about the Purvas and the Uttaras within the nakshatras, that first one, the Purva part, the farmer part, is always going to be much more intense. It is much more of this energy that is being asserted outward, where the second part of that is much more refined, much more calm, much more down to earth. And so both of these nakshatras have a goal in mind. And this goal is essentially to transcend the lower attachments of the world. This is getting out of the illusion, the entrapments of our society. And so, not to say that reality is not something that we should be a part of, but this is focused on actually getting out of those material obsessions of wanting more and more and getting stuck into this material world, and especially dealing with those lower states that are connected to our ego, right? This is about actually leaving behind the ego, because in astrology, we see that Aquarius is the sign that actually is shattering the ego into pieces. And so if we look at the symbolism of Aquarius, which is at the start of that former part, that Purva part of Bhadrapada, we see that Aquarius is symbolized by this vase or this container that is holding the water. But we see this old man who is pouring this water out, and the water is flowing uncontrollably from that vase because the vase is not intact. It is shattered, right? There is fractures in this container that holds the water. And this container actually represents the ego, because what do we do when we want to survive in the world? We try to control something. And so this ego that is all about control and separation and keeping things in a certain way is represented by this container that holds the water. And so here in Aquarius, we see this break in this container, this ego that allows for everything to start to flow in this divine way, to allow it to flow according to the universe, according to God, according to whatever it is that you see as that higher guiding force. Now it is no longer about us as man controlling it, but simply going with the flow. And this is where we get into this Pisces energy, where Pisces is all about going with the flow. It is the divine harmony. And this is why Pisces has a tendency to get lost. It is not controlling the path that it is taking. It is going with its intuition, with its connection to the universal energies. And so as we step into this full moon, there is something very magical, very spiritual. There is something very divine about this energy here that we are moving into, that is all about waking us up. And one of the main themes that comes up here during this full moon is about surrender. What is it that you are trying to control, that you're trying to hold on so tightly out of a place of fear, right? Out of a place of ego? Is it really as scary or serious as you feel it is? Or is this a fear that is causing illusion, right? Fear is an illusion. It is strongly connected to that Rahu energy of the illusion. And so there's something big here about this full moon where in order to move into the flow of what you want to receive, of where you want to be in life, there's something big that we have to let go of, that we have to surrender. And so that is a huge theme as we're stepping here into this full moon. Now, this full moon, especially because this is happening within the first degrees of this nakshatra. And those first degrees, the first 3-degree 20-minute section of Uttara Bhadrapada is referred to as a Leo Navamsa. And so there's a huge theme here stepping into this energy that is connected to the ego. This area of Uttara Bhadrapada that is controlled by the sun is very much about our pride, of what we are proud of what we want to show off to the world, as far as our dreams, as far as our expectations, as far as our capabilities here as we're stepping into this. And so there's a huge theme as the ego is starting to get washed away as we're moving into these dreamy Pisces waters here in this first quarter. And so there's a huge theme here that once again is centered around this control, this ego of wanting to hold things in a certain way. And what we see also happening here with this full moon is on the opposition, we see the sun, which always during a full moon, we see the sun and the moon sitting opposite to one another. But with the sun, there is a conjunction to Mars. And so once again, Mars, which is a very masculine planet, just like the sun, it has this very strong and dominating energy to it. And Mars is quite unhappy. It has been in this very tight conjunction to the sun for some time now. And Mars is like a military general. It wants to call the shots. It wants to get things done in its own way. But it's sitting here with this sun, which is acting as the king or the ruler, the one in charge. And so Mars feels as though it's losing that sense of dominance, that sense of authority as it's being overshadowed by the sun. So this is a very frustrating position, right? A lot of us feel as though there are situations in our life that we have no control over, that there is something that is stopping us, there's something that's in our way, there's something that is dominating, whether this is a person, a situation, where we feel like there is a roadblock that we cannot push through. So we get this frustration, this agitation of Mars as it sits here in this conjunction to the sun, especially because we have Mars sitting here in the sign of Virgo, where it feels very uncomfortable, right? Mars is not a great friend to the planet Mercury, which is controlling Virgo. Mercury is very logical, very practical, very good at managing the details, making smart decisions. And Mars is very much this hot, fiery energy that wants to just jump in and take charge. So these are two planets that are not getting along. And Mercury is controlling this sign of Virgo. And so we're having this difficulty here that's happening as Mars is not only in a sign that it doesn't do as well in, it's really getting frustrated and agitated here where it wants to act, but we have to think before we act, and it is caught under this control of the sun. And so there is a frustration here of wanting to control things, of fearing that you can't control things. And this full moon is asking us to release, to let go as it sits here in the sign of Pisces. Now, along with that, we get some very challenging planets here that are aspecting onto this full moon. We have an aspect from Saturn, which sits there in the sign of Capricorn. And it's been there in the sign of Capricorn for some time as it's been moving through the nakshatra of Shravana, where it is all about listening to your internal guidance, following that, staying disciplined in that. And along with that, we have K2, which is also making an aspect over from the sign of Scorpio. And it is sitting there in the nakshatra of Anuradha, which is all about our transformation, our ability to move through difficult and unsettling times and to still rise, right? Anuradha is being symbolized by a lotus, where it has this ability to bloom even in the most challenging times. And so there's a huge theme here that is about being able to push through, being able to have the strength, the confidence to make it through all of these difficulties and challenges within our lives. And as K2 sits in this nakshatra of Anuradha, there's a lot that is being revealed to us, as K2 is all about uncovering the truth, all about the mysteries that lie beneath. There's a lot that's coming up to the surface on an emotional level, very intense as it sits there in Scorpio and Anuradha. There's a lot here that we have to deal with on an emotional level, on a psychological level. What is going on within us that is causing all of this fear, that is causing all of this blockage to stop us from stepping into our dream, stepping into what it is that we want to achieve, that we want to accomplish? And so this becomes a huge theme here with this full moon is, are you open to your dream? Are you open to let go of the control of the past, of the fear that is stopping you, so that you can walk through that door and actually step into your magical dream, step into your ultimate goal, your ultimate vision of what you want to accomplish? What is the life that you want to experience? What do you want to experience on an emotional level? Pisces is the ultimate experience. It is the transcendence. It is beyond the limitation, beyond the fear, beyond the illusion, this wholesome experience of surrendering and opening to what the universe has for us. And so this is a huge theme that is playing out here with this full moon is, can you get past the fear? Saturn is also about fear, and it is making this aspect over to this full moon. And it's sitting there in Shravana, where you have to really listen in with yourself. Go in and listen to your inner voice. See where those fears, those challenges, those emotions that are coming up to the surface are. And really listen to your truth. Listen to yourself and your path that is meant for you at the deepest soul level. This is a huge thing that we all have to look at here during this full moon, because as we release, as we surrender, as we work through these emotional blocks, it opens us up to the magic. It opens us up to the possibilities. It opens us up to the reality that we've been dreaming about, that we want to accomplish. You have to have the courage and the strength to step into this. So let's start off for those of you with an Aries moon or Aries ascendant. This will be a full moon back in your 12th house. And remember that we are getting those challenge aspects over from Saturn, K2, and Mars during this transit. And so this is definitely a time where you can find yourself getting into some complications with your spouse, with your boss. There can be some debates, some arguments, even in any sort of relationships coming up at this moment, but especially in those relationships that deal with your business or your commitments. So you want to be cautious in those areas. We can also see that this is a time where you may go through a very extreme change in your life. And so this can be a time of psychological changes and emotional changes that you're going through internally, where there's a lot that's being stirred up and brought to the surface here during this time. And this can even be something where you have already felt this call to move into this change here that you are moving into currently. With this K2 activating this 8th house, this is something that you've been sitting with for a while, where many of you here have been going through some difficulties and challenges within your life. A lot of things pulling you into new directions at this time, and a lot of releasing that needs to take place, especially with this full moon back in this 12th house. This is a major release point for those of you with Aries moon, Aries ascendant. We have this full moon in this 12th house of losses, of endings, of releasing, of giving away. So this is a major time of letting go of anything that has built up within your subconscious. Many of you have made some changes or have let go of some situations physically, but there's still something going on here psychologically where you need to cut full ties with this arena that you are stepping out of at this moment. And so this can be a great time for meditation. This can be a great time for any sort of therapy or psychoanalytic work, really going in deep and understanding those areas that need change and improvement. And so even though many of you have let go on a physical level, remembering that there can be ties there that are deeper on a subconscious, especially as we're having this full moon activating this 12th house, major time of releasing all of those things that are hidden below the surface. Now, this is also a great time, once again, for you to come into a place of peace, of relaxation, of going inward. This is not really a full moon of a lot of activity and going outward. We will see more of the results of this lunar cycle take place during the next full moon, where this will come back into your first house. But at the moment, this is a great time of inward reflection, of doing your internal work, releasing, going inward at this time. Once again, lots of challenges and triggers that can come up through your relationships and connections to others. Hey Aries moon and Aries ascendant, and thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all in the next video. Let's go ahead and move on here to Taurus moon, Taurus ascendant. So this will be a full moon taking place back in your 11th house. Excellent position. This is a great time for reaping the benefits for all of the work and efforts that you have put in. You want to be careful here. There can be some jealousy and some issues that can creep up. Again, when we have these challenge aspects of Mars, Ketu, and Saturn coming up here, there can be some difficulty in the workspace where there is some jealousy over your accomplishments, over your feats at this time. We can even see some difficulty creeping up here in your marriage, in your relationships, where you can get into some potential issues, arguments, disputes, some areas that are blowing up, and you want to pay attention to your connections and relations. Those of you with the Taurus moon, Taurus ascendant, is everyone in your friend circle benefiting you? Are they on your side? Are they for you at a soul level? Or are there some attachments that need to be released and let go of? Major time with this K2 that is sitting there in your 7th house of partnerships, and this full moon in your 11th house. These are both release points. So there's something here where there is a potential connection for some of you that you have to release and let go of in order to move forward, to move on to your better, happy life. Even with this Mars aspect that we're seeing here going on, this can definitely be a major point of challenge as far as others not seeing your potential, not seeing your benefit, not encouraging you along your path. You have to stand up and take the initiative to go for what you want at this time. Hey Taurus moon or Taurus ascendant, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all in the next video. Now, for those of you with a Gemini moon or Gemini ascendant, this will be a full moon in your 10th house. Big moment of career. Once again, we have these major challenge aspects happening here with Mars, Ketu, and Saturn. And so this can be a little bit difficult there with Saturn sitting in your 8th house, where you can run into some obstacles and delays in major areas. There is some protection happening, though, with Saturn there in that 8th house, blocking some potential downfalls. You want to listen closely to your intuition, especially as Saturn has been sitting here in this nakshatra of Shravana, where this is all about listening, learning. And so some of you can go through some major changes and moments of uncertainty where you want to pay close attention to those areas. These are waking you up. These are giving you the information. Remember that Saturn is actually very comfortable in that 8th house, as it is connected to spiritual knowledge and that practicality and stability of helping us to step into that mystical and spiritual knowledge on a very stable and practical way. And so this is a great time of finding some hidden truths, some solid truths that can help you towards your growth in these areas that you need to move on and make some changes. You want to be careful holding on to anything, as you can run into some obstacles and some major moments of changes that are out of your control. Now, we also have this Mars, of course, sitting there on the opposite side of this full moon back in your 4th house. And so this is definitely a time where you may need to support your family, your home. And so some of you may even be moving up the ladder, moving to a new job, seeing some major changes happening in that career field that can potentially help you in this area of your home life. But this can definitely bring some strife or difficulty depending upon how this Mars is affecting other planets in your chart, where anything that is related to your career and going out and doing your work may cause some disturbance in the home. There can be some separation and conflict popping up in this area. But once again, this is a strong area where your support may be strongly needed here in the home environment. Of course, we will see that aspect over from K2. Once again, there's a lot here that needs to be sacrificed into the workspace. And so this is a time where you may have to leave these connections that make you feel comfortable and focus on the areas that need some growth and improvement in your life. The detachment is very strong here with Rahu back there in that 12th house. You may need some time to go inward, to reflect, to meditate at this time, and to really focus on your work and your efforts. Hey, Gemini Moon or Gemini Ascendant. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you like this, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all in the next video. Now, for those of you with a Cancer Moon, Cancer Ascendant, this will be a full moon back in your 9th house. And so this is a major time of spirituality. Very auspicious placement with that full moon in the 9th, where this can be a time of some great spiritual growth and improvement on your part, really focusing in on your belief systems and some major new belief systems that are trying to come in at the moment, that you need to release some of the old things in your life in order to move towards this. This is definitely a time where any limiting belief systems, anything where you are doubting yourself, is not going to help you at this moment. You want to trust solely on your intuition and move into the right direction. For this, there is some major releasing that has to take place. Releasing in your belief systems, releasing in the things that you have trusted in the past that are not for you any longer. Of course, we have Mars on that opposite end in Gemini there in your 3rd house, where there is some major detachment that needs to happen. Standing up for yourself, using your voice to make sure that you are cutting ties with things that are no longer for you is very important here. And this can be a great time for you to develop any of your writing skills, anything involving education. You have a ton of energy and strength to push through in this area. And so once again, there is a lot going on here where there is some major change and improvement that needs to take place within your life. And so this is a big time where all of these areas of the 5th house, using your creativity, using your growth, using your skills, can be great. Once again, expression is a highlight here. Speaking your truth. Remember that K2 is all about unveiling the truth. And so living in your truth, fully expressing yourself and sharing this with the world at this time is huge. Not getting stuck in those traps of complying or staying stuck in areas that are not for your growth and improvement. And of course, with Saturn all a part of this as well in that aspect, sitting over you in your 7th house. This can be a time where you can see some slow starts in some new connections in your life. This can also be a time here where you're losing connections that are no longer for you. So once again, major release time that is happening here with this full moon. But with this happening in your 9th house, this is positive. All of these moments where you are losing, where you're releasing, keep in mind that this is all for your benefit and your growth. Hey Cancer Moon or Cancer Ascendant, and thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all in the next video. For those of you with a Leo moon or Leo ascendant, this will be a full moon taking place in your 8th house. This is very intense, very strong release point that is happening here, where this can be a time where some secrets and some hidden aspects are coming up to the surface. And there's a lot here that needs to be worked through and released. Any grudges, any secrets, anything that is being held deep within is coming to a point where it can no longer be held on to anymore. And so this is a time of releasing all of those intense feelings and all of those things that are no longer for you, the toxic things that get stuck and hidden back in that 8th house. This is a major moment of releasing all of this. This can also be a time where researching, where diving into mystical knowledge can help you in a major way in your growth and improvement. Your spiritual progress is strongly being highlighted here by a major release that needs to take place. We will also see that aspect over from Saturn as it sits there in your 6th house. This is a major time where you have to put in the work, where this is a lot of effort that is required here, and you're being strongly protected through this process as well. As Saturn sits in that 6th house, this is very strong for getting over any obstacles or delays, but definitely there can be some obstacles and delays that come up that is hugely a part of your spiritual growth, that you need to get over these obstacles and difficulties in your life in order to grow into your greatest potential. We will also see this aspect over from Mars on the opposite end there over in your 2nd house. And so this may be a time where you feel a little bit threatened in this area of security. This could even involve your money, your possessions, but this is a major time of realizing that all of these difficulties and problems that are coming up at the moment are for your growth and improvement. With Mars in that 2nd house, this can be a time where you can become very argumentative, where you can become very much aggressive in your speech. And this can be used for good for you to direct yourself to move towards your goals, but you want to be careful about how you are using your words, as it can cause some problems and obstacles at this moment. We will also see this aspect over from K2, which is sitting there in your 4th house. And so this is a major time where there are some changes that are happening, and this can have a lot to do with your comfort level that is changing and shifting. All of those areas that you feel comfortable in, you're being encouraged to leave behind and to move forward into something new and better for yourself. Hey Leo Moon or Leo Ascendant, and thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all in the next video. For those of you with a Virgo Moon, Virgo Ascendant, this will be a full moon taking place in your 7th house. And so there is something big here about your relationships being highlighted. This can be a major release point for many of you. This can also be a point of culmination. There can be something big here about marriage or ceremony that is coming up here with this full moon. This can also be a major time related to pregnancy, related to any sort of gift that is coming through your partnerships. So even in those business partnerships, this can be a major time of abundance and growth. But there is something big here that you need to release in order to move towards what it is that you want to achieve. Now we will see an aspect over from K2, of course, that is sitting there in your 3rd house. So you're going to have to use your communication skills to get to where you want to be. Many of you who are holding back, who are hesitant in speaking or in expressing your thoughts at this time, this is not going to help you. You want to move towards a point where you're able to speak your truth, where you're able to share your opinions, and this is going to help you in a major way. You may also come across someone who can help you in learning and growing. And so this can involve education, or this could simply be an elder, a guru, someone who comes along your way and gives you some advice. Along with this just being your intuition and being able to navigate by following that intuition and that internal truth. Along with that, we will see Mars, of course, sitting there in your first house. So once again, you're in a time in your life where courage is needed. It's time to step up and to move towards what you want, using that passion and that strength, that energy to drive ahead towards the destination that you want to see for yourself. We will also see this aspect over from Saturn, which is going to help you tremendously as it sits there in your fifth house, giving you a ton of skills and knowledge to work with at this time. This is a time where anything that you love to do, anything that you enjoy, that you want to see prosper in your life, using that energy to move towards those goals. Hey Virgo Moon or Virgo Ascendant, and thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all in the next video. For those of you with a Libra Moon, Libra Ascendant, this will be a full moon taking place there in your sixth house. This is a very interesting position here, as many of you have gone through some difficulties or challenges, especially back in our previous point where we entered into September. As we come closer to this point, we still see some challenges with this Mercury retrograde, but this is a major release point where you can find some clarity, you can find some peace in moving away from your enemies. And so for those of you who are in a position where you are feeling stress, where you are facing a lot of conflict, you want to simply find a way to move away from this and to move more towards what is good for you. And so this is definitely a time of understanding how to choose the correct battles. For those of you with this Libra Moon, Libra Ascendant, you want to pick and choose the correct battles for yourself. For many of you, there are some major conflicts that are coming up that are no longer for you. And the best solution for this is to let go, to move on, to move towards what does make you happy, and to no longer stay in this toxic situation. Also, with Mars sitting there on the opposite end, this is a major time where you can find yourself moving towards a group, moving towards a circle, moving towards a goal that does benefit you. And so once again, a lot of opportunities that will open up as you start to move into an environment, into an existence, into a mindset that is for you, and not getting stuck into these toxic situations in your life. We will also see K2, of course, there in your second house, making the aspect over to this full moon. And once again, this is a major time of letting go of the past. And this has been a huge theme as K2 has been sitting there in that second house, letting go of these attachments that are no longer meant for you. This can also be a time where using your speech, using your resources can help you to move towards your goals and the things that you want to see take place. And this is something that will help you as we're moving forward into this next new moon. Now, we will also see an aspect over from Saturn as it sits there in your fourth house. Very beneficial planet. Saturn is here to help you along this journey by getting you to solidify your home space, to solidify your place of peace, of comfort, and to make sure that that is something that is aligned with your joy, your happiness, with what makes you fulfilled, as Saturn also rules that fifth house. So once again, huge theme that's centered around moving towards what makes you happy, moving towards what inspires you, what encourages you, what is uplifting to you, and moving out of those toxic or difficult scenarios that are not meant for you. Hey Libra Moon or Libra Ascendant, and thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all in the next video. For those of you with a Scorpio Moon, Scorpio Ascendant, this will be a full moon taking place in your 5th house, very positive full moon, where you can see some great abundance coming in. And this is not necessarily in the form of money, but this is definitely a time where you can see some happiness, some joy coming into your life through this full moon sitting here in this 5th house. This could also be a time of wrapping up some sort of education or skill set that you've been working towards as well. Along with that, this can be a great time to simply show the world what your talents and gifts are. There's a lot here of releasing and letting go of old blocks or situations that have been preventing you from fully expressing or showing who you are, especially as we get this aspect from K2 sitting there in your 1st house. There's some major things to let go of within yourself, some major blocks, some major fears, some major past situations to release and to let go of fully in order to move into what brings you that joy, that fulfillment, that abundance with this moon that will be there in that 5th house. We will also see Mars as it aspects over to this full moon, all the way there in your 11th house, where this is moving you into the direction of your dreams, of your goals, of what you want to see happen at this time. And so this is really great for moving towards any sort of groups or networks that can benefit any of your skill sets. This may be a time where you get some offers, some opportunities coming your way through this position. We will also see Saturn there sitting in your 3rd house. Once again, a lot of fears and blockages that you need to get through as Saturn sits in that 3rd house. This has been a major theme with Saturn Capricorn, with these blockages around your courage, your self-expression, your communication, where there's a lot that you have to get out and actually express and put yourself out into the world through this position. Hey Scorpio Moon or Scorpio Ascendant, and thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all in the next video. For those of you with a Sagittarius Moon or Sagittarius Ascendant, this will be a full moon moving here through your 4th house. And so this is a major time where this is all about you releasing, letting go fully of anything that is no longer for you. This house of this Pisces 4th house is all about you establishing your own happiness. And so for those things that are not for you, that don't make you happy, any sort of ties that you believe that are comfortable, that are safe, but that are not benefiting you, that are not giving you any sort of fulfillment, but that it's just a clutch. You want to fully release and clear this out and accept the truth of what brings you happiness and fulfillment within your life. This can be a great time of finding some peace, finding some closure within yourself, especially as we have this K2 aspecting over from your 12th house, where there's a lot to once again let go of and to find some closure in. That 12th house of losses, endings, and closure. Definitely a great time to close an old chapter that is no longer bringing you that sense of happiness in your life. This can also be a great time of exploring yourself on a deeper level, going in spiritually, subconsciously, trusting in your inner intuition. This can be a great time for meditation, for taking a walk in nature, for journaling, anything that can help you. This could also be a great time to see a therapist to get some advice as well, but really exploring yourself at a deeper level, going beyond the surface and seeing those areas that need to be released and let go of. This is a major theme that's been going on here with this K2 Scorpio back in the 12th. Now we'll also see that aspect over from Mars as it sits opposite in your 10th house excellent position for your career. Many opportunities that can open up, and this is a great time to use your passion, use your drive towards getting towards your goals. You may find that your energy levels and your ability to follow through increases as Mars comes into this 10th house. This could also be a time where you run into some obstacles in your field of career as well. So you want to be careful there. This can definitely be a time where you get into some potential arguments with your bosses, with your authority figures, or simply just in that workspace where you want to be careful about how you're coming across there with that Martian influence. But definitely, as Mars is a beneficial planet in your chart, this can help you in terms of your drive, your ambition of moving towards your goals and what it is that you want to achieve. Saturn, as it sits there in your second house, is helping you as well to stabilize your finances, your resources. And you want to be careful here that you are not putting your resources into something that isn't beneficial, that isn't for you. But with Saturn here in this second house, you may find that there are some family members who need some support, who need some help financially in this area. So that can definitely come up. And even if this is not on a financial level, you're finding that there are people in your lives who need some sort of security, some sort of support at this time, where you may find yourself sacrificing. But once again, you want to be careful about who you are sacrificing yourself to, of course, as Saturn is a very difficult planet in your chart and controlling that third house. You may find that people come to you simply to take from you, and this can be a major area of loss. Hey Sagittarius Moon or Sagittarius Ascendant, thanks so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you like this, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all in the next video. For those of you with a Capricorn moon or Capricorn ascendant, this will be a full moon taking place in your third house. And so this is a major time of your creativity increase, your intuition, your emotional understanding of others. This can be a great time to relate, to connect, to express yourself. But also, along with that, this can be a major time of ending out old chapters in your life that have blocked you from fully expressing yourself. This can definitely be a major time where your confidence can increase as you are closing out old chapters in your life, especially as we move forward here and come into our next new moon. You can see some major changes happening there. This is a great time to accept yourself for who you are and to gain some more confidence in yourself and to really go into your subconscious, into those areas in your life that are blocking you, that are keeping you in this state of negative thinking. Let go of all of those things that are no longer for you. This will also receive an aspect over from Mars, which will sit there in your 9th house. Excellent time for learning, for exploring, for getting some advice, for even following in your own intuition. Mars being a very instinctual planet, this can be a great time where your intuition is enhanced, where you are moving forward and trusting yourself fully. This can help you in your growth and initiative. We will also see K2, which is aspecting over from your 11th house. And so this may be a time where you are feeling hopeless in those areas with your goals, with your high ambitions. You want to change your way of thinking. K2 has a lot to reveal to you. This has been a very interesting transit, of course, with K2 there in the 11th, Rahu in the 5th, but there's a lot here that K2 is trying to teach you about trusting yourself, about knowing yourself, about not being afraid to express yourself and to create your own abundance. Now, we will also see an aspect over from Saturn, which is sitting there in your 1st house. Once again, your fears, your limitations, your obstacles, your delays. You want to change the way that you are thinking. Trust fully in your intuition. Saturn has been sitting here in that nakshatra of Shravana, where it is all about listening, right? The learning star is all about listening and fully understanding. And so you want to get around those blocks and obstacles and fully trust in your intuition and really understand the truth and not get caught into the fear and the blockage that is coming up. You want to pay attention to where Saturn is in your chart. Is it in a strong position? Is it in a weak position? Especially if Saturn is debilitated for you, you want to start to change your way of thinking and start to implement some routines into your life that can help to inspire and motivate you to move towards your goals. Hey Capricorn Moon or Capricorn Ascendant, thanks so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you like this, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all in the next video. For those of you with an Aquarius Moon or Aquarius Ascendant, this will be a full moon taking place here in your second house. And so this is a major time of possibly reminiscing about the past and your family upbringing. This can be a great time where you discover things about your roots, you discover things about your past that can be beneficial to you, but you don't want to get too caught up in this area. You want to make sure that you are letting go and moving forward in your life. This can also be a time where you reap some benefits from some career project for the work that you have been putting in this time period here, especially coming off of that new moon that was sitting there in Leo. This is definitely a time where your wealth can increase. Remembering that Leo is sitting over there in that 7th house of business, of partnerships. And so this is a great time where anything that you've been working towards, that you've been doing in your life, can definitely help you at this time. This can also be a time where you feel a little bit closer to your family, to your connections. This may be a time of visiting your family, of having some sort of connection happening here, where once again, this is a great time of reminiscing, of going into the past, of feeling out those emotional connections in this area. We will also see this full moon receiving an aspect over from Ketu, which sits up there in your career house. And so once again, this is pulling you back into your home environment. With Rahu sitting there on the opposite end of Ketu, there's a lot here where this is bringing you back to your home, to your place of peace, to your place of comfort, where you may feel more drawn towards your family and those familial connections. You want to be careful, though, of leaving out from opportunities to stay stuck in a place of comfort. So this is definitely a time where you may need to assert yourself a little bit more in your career field, but definitely with K2 in that 10th house is a great time to use your creativity, your imagination, your intuition to create a masterpiece there in that 10th house, right? This has been a huge theme throughout this time, is using your experience, using your intuition, using your imagination, using those things that are deep below the surface to create some great success in this area. Also, there will be an aspect over from Saturn that is sitting back there in your 12th house. So this is a great time to really focus in on your internal world, especially as Jupiter has retrogressed back into that 12th house again, where there's a lot that is coming up internally. And as Jupiter comes back into your first house, it'll help you in understanding those areas that are maybe confusing at a subconscious level. But this is a great time for meditation. This is a great time for walking in nature, for listening to chants, anything that will get you into this state where you are connecting inward with yourself can help to illuminate you in areas that you need to improve upon yourself, that you need to grow. Hey Aquarius Moon or Aquarius Ascendant, thanks so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you like this, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all in the next video. For those of you with a Pisces Moon or Pisces Ascendant, this will be a full moon in your first house, very auspicious. Anytime there's a full moon in the first house, this is a great position. But remember that this full moon will be receiving a lot of challenge aspects from Mars, K2, and Saturn happening during this full moon. And this will be a full moon that is centered all around releasing, letting go. And so for those of you who have been holding on to things emotionally, holding on to things from the past, this is definitely taking you into a new direction here, where there are new chapters, new doorways that are opening up, where what you were holding on to previously may not be for you anymore. Those doors from the past may be closing at this time, taking you to a new space that is more aligned with your soul, that's more aligned with your calling, with your higher purpose. Of course, as this will be a full moon in Uttara Bhadrapada, which is the serpent from the depths, taking us to this place that is beyond this mundane reality. So for some of you, you are finding some challenges in your mundane life when it comes to finances, when it comes to those things that you've been trying to hold on to for so long are coming to an end, where you're having a new call, a new purpose, and new opportunities and new doorways opening up for you during this time. Now, along with that, K2 will be aspecting in the challenge over to this first house in your ninth house. So you have a lot to learn, a lot to explore at this time. Some of you may be called to travel, to leave your environment, and this may give you a fresh new perspective, point you into a new direction. K2 in that ninth house can also lead you towards some teachers, some mentors, but this is definitely a great time to feel inspired. Rahu in that third house is really trying to get you to move towards those ambitions, those goals that you have for yourself, to gain some confidence in yourself and to remain motivated to move into the correct place in your life. This is definitely a major learning experience with this access of Rahu in the third, K2 in the ninth, where this can take you to new opportunities, new experiences, and you can learn a lot through this as well. Now, we're also getting this aspect over from Saturn that sits there in your 11th house. And so this is really trying to get you to move towards your goals. A lot of you feeling restricted with Saturn there in that 11th house, where there may feel like there's some sort of boundary or obstacle stopping you from moving towards your goal. Saturn is really trying to get you to bring in some discipline, to bring in some routine that's going to help you accomplish that goal. So this is definitely a time where anything where you are just going off the cuff, where you're just going off of your intuition where you normally would, can be a little bit blocked or challenged at this time, where you need a little bit more structure in these areas. You need a little bit more discipline to move towards what you want to see take place. Jupiter, of course, has moved back into this 10th house as well, with a message about the fact that you can achieve your dreams, your goals, whatever you want to achieve. But a lot of you feeling this sort of loss or restriction as Jupiter has been sitting back in this 12th house. Jupiter in that 12th house definitely was in a position where it could have given you some spiritual revelations and changes and endings in that area to awaken you to this, that you can move towards your goals, that you can move towards the things that you want. It's just going to require a little bit more discipline, a little bit more structure to have you commit fully into those areas. Of course, with Saturn controlling that 11th and 12th house. Also, on the opposite side of this full moon, we will see an aspect over from Mars there in your 7th house. So many of you may run into some conflicts as far as your relationships, your connections, and Mars has been sitting here for a while. So many of you may have felt this a little bit, where there's a little bit more of this argumentative side in you, where you may be running into people who are argumentative at this time, where it is definitely firing you up in this area. You want to be careful here where some triggers can come up to the surface. This can definitely cause some sort of separation or disagreement in this area of relationships, especially for those of you who are married or in a business partnership. But this can also affect you in terms of your boss, your authority figures, right? Your parents. You could have some difficulties in that area, and this can definitely give you some harsh speech as Mars is aspecting over to that 2nd house. You want to be careful about how you're speaking, but this is definitely a great time to defend your values, to speak your truth, as Mars is controlling your 2nd and 9th house. This is also a time, though, where this can give you some drive, some initiative in the business front. Those of you who are looking for some success, for some achievement with Mars there in that 7th house, using your energy, your passion, your drive to move towards your goals is very beneficial. And again, with Saturn up in that 11th house, you want to stay disciplined. You want to stay focused on your goals. A lot of you are aiming for things that are going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort. So you want to have some sort of routine in place that it will help you to move towards the results that you want to see take place. Hey Pisces Moon or Pisces Ascendant, and thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all in the next video.